Welcome to SCW. It's time for NXT on SCW. The debut on October 1st. Going to go through the match card and predictions. Myself and NXT are in a hot seat. My first question for you, NXT, is your excitement levels for NXT to go to CW and the card we'll be discussing today.
I mean, I think I'm actually more excited about the fact that it's going to be not inside the NXT Performance Center. It's actually going to be in a proper arena, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, because I just think seeing a natural crowd instead of the same people that turn up every day and we get a genuine reaction from a decent crowd, I think is like going to be more of a bigger deal for me than anything else. But otherwise, I expect it to be the same product. Obviously, this is essentially a TV special, so do you know what I mean? It's going to be pretty cool. And obviously, the lineup that they've put on, do you know what I mean? They're trying to make it as special as they can.
Absolutely. It looks a really good lineup, to be fair. I'm quite hyped for this show, if I'm being brutally honest. And the matches we'll be talking about will be the Chicago Street Fight with Wesley versus Zachary Wentz. We've got the NXT Women's Championship on the line with Roxanne Perez going against Giulia. We've been promised Miz TV with Oba Femi and Tony D'Angelo on special guests. I'm assuming a contract signing of some description will happen there. We have got Lola Vice and Jaida Parker having to team together to go against two members of Fatal Influence. And yes, the NXT Championship on the line. Ethan Page defending against Trick Williams. Whoop that Trick was special guest referee and hometown hero CM Punk, with this show being in Chicago, Illinois. So, yeah, I mean, of that lineup, what's the match you're most looking forward to?
I'd be stupid not to say Giulia versus Roxanne, because I haven't really seen a lot of Giulia stuff, and to see, like, I know she's obviously had a match against Chelsea Green, but like, this is going to be her first real, like, almost a proper match where, like, I feel like they're going to give her some time, like, and they're going to put on a real decent match, and I'm looking forward to that the most.
Yeah, I don't want to be a copycat, but I feel kind of the same, really. But just because of the fact, like you said, the mystery factor seeing Giulia perform, we've seen one match against Chelsea Green, it was a decent match, but to go against Roxanne Perez, who's arguably on top of her game right now, she's had an incredible year as NXT Women's Champion. I just think they've got potential to blow the roof off with this one, and I feel that almost with me, I'm one of those, is two championships going to change on the same night? I'm not convinced 100% if that will or it won't. My predictions for this show have changed a couple of times during the day. I won't lie to you. So it's going to be interesting to see what I commit to here. But I feel with that one, it's the match that will go on first. Therefore, I think for me feels the more unpredictable, which is why I'm going to go for Roxanne and Giulia as the match I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if there is a chance that the title is going to change, this is the one where I feel most likely it will change.
I have to wait and see what will happen. Let's quickly go into our chat, and then we will go into our predictions. Got C Nation Dog in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Sid says, what do you think will be the best match? I mean, I guess, again, I'm going to say Roxanne versus Giulia.
Yeah, I'd have to agree to the time.
Literally. But the Chicago Street Fight has got the potential as well. Hassan in the house, hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Been asked by Sid, do we think we'll get Roxanne versus AJ Lee in the future? Well, Roxanne has said that she won't retire until she gets that match. So either that or she'll be wrestling literally forever.
Fight forever.
We'll have to wait and see. Sinisha says, I'm with Steve. I'm thinking, will they really have two title changes on this show? Well, potentially they could, but yeah, it's a big question and big talking point with it. But we're going to start off anyway, getting straight into it. We're going to go with that Chicago Street Fight. Wesley against Zachary Wentz. It's going to be.
Can I just say something quickly?
Go on.
Did you ever play Def Jam Vendetta back in the day, or any of like the Def Jam games on? That Street Fight font is literally stolen from Def Jam Vendetta. You brought it up, and I was like, "Oh my god, we've got a copyright infringement going on here." Jesus.
Go with allegedly. Hello, but no, I'm with you on that 100%. Never played the game. Have you played the game in the comments? Let us know. We'd like to know. And if you so, did you like the game? I know it had a lot of good reviews back in the day. But yeah, it was one of the wrestling games I never quite got round to, funnily enough. But speaking of the font, here it is once again. Then that Street Fight, then Wesley versus Zachary Wentz. Now, obviously, Zachary won this match at No Mercy when these two did fight. Of course, Trey Miguel was at ringside when it took place. We have now got a rematch here set up as a Chicago Street Fight but Wesley has been a bit naughty, and he has taken out Trey Miguel in Ohio, I believe, was the time when we were supposed to get the Rascals go for the NXT Tag Team Championships. That match was scrapped because of that, with Wesley doing the dirty. That's led to where the street fight's been set up here, and of course, there's been some exchange of brutal, well, very let's just say the language was not PG. There was a lot of F-bombs dropping between Wesley and Zachary Wentz this past week on NXT, to the point as well Wesley said, "Don't bring Gigi." Interesting stuff indeed.
Ooh.
I've got a theory how I think this one's going to go down. And do you want me to share how I think it's going to go down first, or do you want to go in? Because I feel like with this one, I feel like they've done this for a reason with Trey Miguel, and they're not going for this tag team titles. If you remember, Zachary has been saying like, "Oh, my friend Trey Miguel, I know I can trust him. I know I can trust him." Where was Zachary when Trey got taken out in Ohio with the car park, with the car door going into the leg? Is Trey Miguel gonna have issue with that? That is my thought process of all this, because me and you said the same thing after No Mercy. Trey's turning. When is he turning? He could be turning here. It could be one of those where we could actually get the Rascals triple threat match. We could actually get that, or it sets up originally Zachary versus Trey Miguel for Bound for Glory, which of course is TNA's biggest show, which will be later in the month of October. So I'm going to put my neck out immediately and say Wesley's going to win the match. I think Trey Miguel is going to be the reason why, but I do not see him necessarily aligning himself back with Wesley.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I had the same idea that we were finally going to get this triple threat, and it was just a case of how to get around to do it. And the way you put it out there is pretty much the most plausible way and probably the most logical way. The only other thing I maybe would have suggested that obviously that my prediction as well is that Wesley will win this one. And I thought they'd maybe do a third match. But yeah, if they are going to do that triple threat match, it's going to be for, is it the X Division Championship that he's carrying at the minute?
Unfortunately not, because Zachary's already dropped the championship back to Mike Bailey. Cindy said they really gave him just 2 weeks just for him to show up on NXT with it.
Oh, well, I was going to say, if you, I obviously haven't been keeping up with TNA, but yeah, I thought if that was going to be the idea and they put that title on the picture as a triple threat, I mean, it's a story that doesn't need a title. It just probably would have been a nice addition. But yeah, I'm the same as you. It will probably end up being the triple threat. I'm still reckon we'll get the third match between these two, because I think we need an out-and-out winner. That might be Halloween Havoc, which is obviously the end of October. But you're right, we might get that triple threat at Bound for Glory. So, but otherwise, prediction-wise, I'm the same as you. I'm going Wesley on this one.
Fantastic. And to be fair, it's good to see you looking ahead with Halloween Havoc. I could see, like you said there, the chapter of an NXT is Wesley and Zachary Wentz. They could obviously do what they need to do with Zach, and obviously Trey Miguel in the meantime. Does it come back for the triple threat in NXT? Does it happen in TNA? Lots of questions, not enough answers, but Wesley is our pick. We have got here CD saying that he does believe that Wesley wins this. He's a future NXT champion. I do agree with that sentiment. I think that he will win the big one at some stage.
Yeah, it's just more like Wesley, unfortunately for me, is his time on NXT, I feel, is running out. And if he's going to do it, it's obviously got to be essentially sometime between now and Rumble, really, because I think come next April, I think he's done with NXT and he moves on to the main roster.
I think he could get his shot at Deadline. I think if he wins that Iron Survivor Challenge match, like you say, going into Rumble season, maybe New Year's Eve, somewhere around there, I could see him winning the title. Because unlike you, I think he could be going and getting the call up next year. And I also think that when it comes to past next year as well, when it gets past Stand and Deliver season, Oba Femi's carrying this brand from that point on.
Absolutely.
So, I don't see if it's going to be, like you say, in the words of Elvis Presley, it's now or never.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing is they might do Worlds Collide in January if they're going to do the whole TNA NXT crossover. So if they did that, I mean, I'm game for that. But yeah, I imagine at some point, they're going to do maybe like you said, a Deadline, or like, I don't know, a midweek special like they sometimes do. Maybe he picks it up there.
Could always happen indeed. We'll keep an eye out for it, but certainly we agree with the idea that Wesley is a future NXT champion. And funny you mentioned Worlds Collide. Worlds Collide 2020 is the next SCW Rewind on this channel. Breaking news.
The greatest tag team match ever.
This is an NXT choice, and we want to deliver it to you. And I felt this was a good time and good place to deliver that breaking news, especially as your name drop Wells collide there. Ray in the house, Ray, thank you for this question. Says, would you like to see TNA wrestlers on WWE 2K25? Quick answer, yes. But I think it actually will happen, and I'm going to predict it's going to be a DLC next year of TNA wrestlers, because I think it's a better way of doing it than Pat McAfee's group.
Hitting the nail on the head is exactly what I was going to say. It's a TNA special DLC pack. And it will probably be, depending on who's in it, it will probably be their best-selling DLC pack of all time. Like if you put the right people on there, like for instance, a Moose, a Mike Bailey, a Jordan Grace, do you know what I mean? You need to put the right people in there, because there's so many times before where we've had DLC packs in that game that genuinely you buy them for one person and that's it, and the others just don't end up doing anything with them.
Totally. I mean, the thing is, you would take the people that have already been on NXT. This is the pack you could just make on its own. You could do simply, you could do Joe Hendry, you can do Jordan Grace, Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, Rosemary. Those are just a few names. I mean, Hammerstone could be one, but I don't think he would be one that you would use. But you look at people that are also in TNA right now. The Hardy Boys could be someone that could be crossed over and brought into the game. And let's not forget, and this leads into this next question here. Do you think there'll be any debuts or returns? The Motor City Machine Guns. But I don't think they're necessarily debut on this show. I think they're going to debut on CW in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no tag team matches there for this card, and obviously, even though my new favorite tag team, Hank and Tank, I want them to win the tag team titles, because those dudes are honestly the best thing. Like, they're so, like, I don't know if have you seen NXT this week yet?
I have.
Pre-match, them in the pre-match spot before they come out and have that tag team match is so funny and it's so good. I love it, man. Hank and Tank, NXT tag team of the year for 2024 for me.
Tank is the new Otis, isn't he? With the way that he just goes around, he's full of energy, full of life. But for this show, I'm sure there will be some surprises, some shocks. I mean, we've had the name drop of Gigi Dolan. I'd like to see her return to NXT. I think she's been sorely missed.
Maybe Cora Jade again. I don't know what Cora Jade's status is as well. And obviously, we've had Stephanie Vacour. Delta is the other one, I believe. You never know. So. Like, it depends what they want to do, but I imagine we'll get a return. I think the debut, like you said, will be for next week.
Maybe, like you said, Stephanie Vacour can actually appear on NXT for this show, which puts us nicely, because we're going to talk about that match next with the NXT Women's Championship. But as a return, I go with Gigi, and I think for St. Louis, that's when the Machine Guns will make their stay, because that's when we've got Fraxium versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory for the tag team titles.
Isn't Motor City Chicago though? Like,
no, Detroit.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not either.
It's in the. Are they in the same state? I'm geographically challenged when it comes to the United States, so I don't know where. I don't know what state it's in. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, sorry.
Michigan,
yes, no, it's not. Yeah,
and Chicago is in Illinois. So
that's right,
yeah. So it's. Yeah. I don't know how that still is in the distance though, because that's. I just know the names of a lot of it, but I think Detroit's somewhere.
Yeah. Too many wrestling over the years, and we just know where they are and what state they are from every time. Like coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan, from Chicago, Illinois.
This will seem probably offensive, but I saw this on Instagram the other day. And it's completely off topic, so apologies everyone here. But like there was a thing of like how everyone outside the US views America. It's like you have in the top corner, you have New York, in the top northeast, you have Florida down like at the bottom there. You have them. The whole west side is just Los Angeles, and then everywhere else in the middle is USA. We don't know. Like it's just like everything's just muddled, and like that's where everything's sort of stuck. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I don't know. I think I have a good guess at where most of them are. Like I know North and South Dakota are next to each other.
Anyway, CD, we got your comment up here. We're going to get back into it for us, but says the triple threat should happen at Bound for Glory. They became big in TNA, so TNA deserves this big match to happen in their promotion. I would kind of agree with that sentiment as well. Yeah, would be quite cool to see there. And also, he'd like to see Wesley get the NXT Championship before he goes to the main roster. That's one thing he's left to accomplish in NXT. Totally agree. And also said that DLC. Look at that DLC. Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace, and the Rascals. I mean, just take my money. Take my money, literally. Exactly. Not in all cases, just that DLC pack. That's the only one I want to give my money away for. Yeah, Ed Fry's now said, hope you're doing well. Says, hey everyone. And the DLC packs is an old model. Who is buying individual packs and not buying the deluxe edition with the DLC packs already included? There are some out there.
I don't buy the season pass because, like this year, the only DLC that I actually genuinely wanted was the one that had CM Punk in it. I didn't care for the rest of them. Like, even though the last one had Jade Cargill in, Dragon Lee, Nia Jax, like the rest of them, honestly, I didn't care for any of the others. Like, and I think the season pass is like £30 over here, and it's like I just bought the one CM Punk one for like £8. It saves me 22 quid.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like you say, it depends on it. I think a lot of people were upset with a lot of the DLC this year as well, depending on it is the pack that's upset a lot of people. I think on the whole, so I don't understand why
they have a habit of, like, I think one year they had Casey Catanzaro as a DLC character. The next year she was in the game, and then the following year she was back to being a DLC character, which is the joke in itself. Like, how can you have someone as DLC 2 out of 3 years? Is stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. They should get them in the game at last there. Ed said, oh, no, a Hank fan. Apparently,
you wait. I'm telling you now, you wait. They are going to be massive.
They're quite far apart. In fact, now I think, Ed, you've definitely got to give us the facts here. 280 miles between Chicago and Detroit. So that's pretty much countries from our situation of where we'd be. So
America, that's next door. Like everywhere is close to London, according to them in the UK. So that's next 280 miles is nothing.
City thinks that Grayson Waller turns on Austin Theory after they lose to Fraxium, since they are the kings of the breakup of the tag teams. Certainly could be the case. We'll try and do one of these next week as well for the St. Louis show, as they're quite big shows coming up for these ones. Sid asking, will we be surprised that CM Punk showed up at NXT? Not really. He seems to be there quite a lot, to be fair.
That, and they announced it. It can't really be a surprise if they announce it. But dude, I mean, obviously he wants to take over from Shawn Michaels. So, dude, CM Punk as a booker, I think, is great. I would really love to see that.
Would not be against it. And CD actually says here as well that look at the teams from the main roster that they've actually beaten Fraxium. Authors of Pain, Gallows and Anderson, Street Profits, and obviously Theory and Waller could be added to that list, of course, on the 8th.
There's more than that.
8th. So go on.
Sure, didn't they face? They took the titles off of the Wolf Dogs. That's another. That's another team.
I mean, they're on the they weren't on the main roster then, though. They are now. They weren't.
Oh,
then,
okay. You're talking about main roster exclusively. My apologies.
Yeah.
I thought you just meant in general. I was just saying you're missing about 3 or 4 teams. I'm sure from that.
I'm assuming that's what CD's was. Now, I would hate to comment on his behalf, but I think that's what he's suggesting. But it's hard to know for sure. But we're going to dive into match 2 because goodness. We've got a lot to get through. We've got NXT Women's Championship here. We've got Roxanne Perez versus Giulia. All the hype of Giulia coming into NXT. It's great to see her here. As we said, we've not seen too much of her work, but certainly the match against Chelsea Green was pretty awesome, let's be fair.
I was very surprised Chelsea Green got in as much offense as she did. Don't get me wrong, I'm never going to knock Chelsea Green getting offense in and actually making herself look good. But you know what I mean? It's one of them. Like, I'm thankful in a way because normally it's like everyone's debut match is normally a squash of whoever they're facing, and the fact that Chelsea Green managed to actually get some offense in, I think is great. But dude, plain and simple, I think Giulia wins this. I think that Roxanne Perez has had that title for way too long, and she's beaten way too many people, and we do need a fresh champion. That, or we get a screwy finish, and I don't know, maybe we get a triple threat with Stephanie Vacour, who knows? But I'm going to go with a title change for this one. I think that, like I said, I think the time is now for this title change.
It does. I mean, the thing is, the Stephanie Vacour thing completely threw the prediction, because in one way, I was like you, is there a screw finish there to sort of delay this to a future date? But there's things that WWE likes to do sometimes with these shows and make it feel like such a big deal. If this is the match that goes on first of the 2 big championship matches, this is the title that should change hands for sure. Put question marks of, well, will it happen again later in the main event? That's the sort of trick that they sort of like to do. If it doesn't happen in the first match, well, it's kind of like, okay, right, well, then everything seems on Ethan Page's side. And at the moment, when you look at that main event, just quickly bring it up, not to bring everything together, but everything looks to be against Ethan Page there. The referee's a babyface as well. So you've imagined the deck is stacked against him. So to go with this match here with Roxanne and Giulia, I'm going to agree with you. I think Giulia simply picks up the victory here, and I think she'll win the title. Does she just immediately face Stephanie Vaquer at Halloween Havoc? I'm not so sure. I think Roxanne Perez is due a rematch after that. So I imagine they may do something like that, or they'll find a way to do a triple threat match. But my question to you, I would just quickly say, is obviously these big names are coming in, but they're immediately just jumping straight for the NXT Women's Championship. Obviously, Roxanne has beaten most of the other women in the division, but surely Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer need to pick up a significant amount of wins to get themselves a title match, really.
Logically, yes, you would think that, and obviously, in some places, like winning means something, but it's WWE, and it doesn't necessarily matter. Like I said, I think for me, the ultimate debut I want to see some year is someone debut in the Rumble, win, and get their main event at Mania, and they win a world title at Mania, and their first ever singles match is a main event of WrestleMania. Like, do you know what I mean? If you could get a Kenny Omega, for example, have him win the Rumble. His first, don't have him wrestle at all in a singles capacity until Mania and have him win the main event. I think it'd be such an explosive way and such a unique way to debut someone. But yeah, I mean, look, it's WWE. Their booking makes no logical sense. They're going on the pure basis of star power and the fact that Roxanne's beaten everyone on the roster. So there's not a lot of names left for her to actually challenge. So it kind of just makes sense that it's Giulia.
It does kind of make sense as well. I'm going to go, it's a full house here for Giulia to pick up the win. If you enjoyed the video so far, we're 20 minutes in, hit that like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well if you're new here. But let's quickly touch on Miz TV. Obviously, got special guests Oba Femi and Tony D'Angelo. I'm guessing some form of contract signing or some description, or certainly something to give a strong presence for one guy or the other. And obviously, with Tony D losing the last match between these two at No Mercy, of course, has kind of gone through apparently the Rocky script word for word has been done. I've seen bounce around on X with this getting Tony D from who's lost himself to find himself again with the sort of training he's done this past week on NXT. I feel like he's obviously from Chicago as well. He's going to be standing tall at the end of this segment to make you believe he can take the title from Oba Femi in St. Louis on the 8th. But spoiler alert, that won't be happening when it comes to the 8th.
I thought he was from New York for some reason.
Yeah, well, he has. Of course, it's the mob mentality, isn't it? But I believe that's
the character. The character's probably from New York. Tony's probably from Chicago. But yeah, dude, I'm the same as you. Like the interesting part is obviously that we've talked about Wesley winning that NXT championship at some point. And I mean, if the idea is to put that North American championship on Tony D'Angelo, that leaves Oba free to go for that world title as well. So it kind of makes a really interesting dynamic when it comes to that world title scene. Like, yeah, it's just going to be like, it's getting to the point now with Oba, like, you need to build someone to beat him because he's almost in like Gunter territory for dominant wins. And it's like whoever's going to beat him needs to seriously be a really like prime baby face that is just ready to take that title off of him because he's just a monster, man. And it's like, it's very hard to see anyone on that roster be like, if you was going to pick someone at the minute, I can't even have Wesley because he's a heel. So it's like, I don't think there is any like top baby faces.
At the moment, it's hard to pick who would beat Oba Femi at this point. We get that question almost every week on this channel. Who's going to beat Oba Femi? There's not really a good answer at this moment. Really, could someone individually do it? It just doesn't seem logical at the moment. And with the fact they're saying at the moment, this is the guy that is going to try and chase himself to be the longest ever NXT North American champion. I feel like he's going to break that record because he just feels so legit. So I just don't see him dropping that title anytime soon. Sid dropping in with some facts for us now. He's from Oak Park, Illinois, so not far. It's certainly the same state anyway, so that's good to know. Thank you for clarifying there for us, Sid, on that one. But let's go into a couple of comments anyway before we go to our next match. CD goes for Giulia to win the NXT Women's Championship, giving Oscar vibes when Oscar was NXT, and that's a good thing because Oscar, of course, is undefeated in NXT throughout the entire history. So yeah, definitely a good comparison to make there. Ray asking, have you seen the Joe Hendry music video about Ethan Page? Seen the one that was on NXT TV about him putting on some clothes?
Yeah, that's the only one I'd seen. I haven't seen another one as far as like, but then again, like I said, I've not done what's going on in TNA at the minute. I'm so like far removed from it at the minute because it's just got too much stuff going on. Like I said, we're in the process of reviewing the Mr. McMahon series, so it's like I can't even watch any normal wrestling at the minute.
Episodes 1 and 2 are on the channel now. Episode 3 is already recorded. Episode 4 will also be recorded later, and those will be dropping over the next couple of days. So you can definitely look forward to more for us. And certainly episode 3, a lot of discussions of stuff going through the new generation, start of the birth of the Attitude Era. It's definitely a fun one to go and check out if you want to hear us talk about the Montreal Screwjob, along with also the curtain call. Certainly a couple of fun topics to discuss indeed. Yeah, as CD says, wins don't matter in WWE. You just have to have star power. Literally is the case. And also, why has CM Punk had so many interactions with Roxanne Perez? Roxanne, Cora Jade are best friends, and CM Punk, he's wanting to do what he can to put those two over, and I think he's doing a great job of it. And to be fair, Roxanne is doing a great job herself when she's in those segments.
Yeah, and like it's just very AJ Lee vibes, isn't it? And it kind of just feels like a natural fit that you put them two together.
It does indeed, absolutely. We've got a tag team match we're going to discuss next now. Lola Vice and Jaida Parker going against 2 members of Fatal Influence. First off, who do you? I'm guessing it's going to be Fallon Henley and JC Jane, if I had to be honest.
You would have thought that, but I think they'll drop JC out and have, I forget who the third member is of these two. Yeah, I think it'd be a case of Fallon's on the sideline. Like, to be fair, I can't remember last time I saw not Fallon, JC Jane actually wrestle a match. So I don't know. Interesting match and story, but I'm sure they're supposed to be doing something with the NXT Women's Tag Team title. Well, no, sorry, the Women's Tag Team title soon, which is why they're supposed to be doing this, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they did have a tweet go out a while ago of Bianca and Jade wanting to be a part of this CW move, but nothing's been announced for this first show. So I'm guessing this could build to St. Louis. And if you're going to build one of the two teams at this point, I think the numbers advantage should come into play here. I think Fatal Influence should find a way to pick up the win, especially with the fact that Lola and Jaida are not getting along and they don't want to team together. They've got 7 days to figure it out. I think it makes sense for them to not figure it out at this stage, and they have to learn to get on.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously if they want to, I don't know, surprisingly put them tag team titles back in NXT for a while, maybe that's something they can work towards.
Perhaps as well, they have actually quoted about Kalani Jordan being the Women's North American Champion as well. That could be another target for Fatal Influence. That could also set up the 6-woman tag team match where Kalani could be the peacekeeper that actually puts Lola and Jaida to actually get on to help put away Fatal Influence. So, yeah, going to go for Fatal Influence for that match. Let's go in. We've got a couple of comments that have got flying in. Ray just wants to see Fear How wrestle. Has been a while. Stevie says, why are NXT promoting 2 members of that? He really doesn't care who represents the tag team. Some people, I'm sure, do.
It might just be. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's a story plot where it's kind of like you think you're going to face this and this, but if we don't tell you who you're going to face, you essentially can't be prepared, which is kind of like a get out of jail for how they lose the match as well.
Yeah, it's almost it's the story beat rather than necessarily the fan influence on this one. But some fans may care. I mean, I don't mind the mystery and intrigue. It's probably why we've discussed it for a good couple of minutes. But let's move on to the main event, shall we? This is the big one. Special guest referee CM Punk for the NXT Championship. The champion Ethan Page. He's all ego going against Trick Williams, and got to get you in for that one there. NXT, obviously these two are no strangers. They've been kind of rivals, if you will, for the last 3 or 4 months. CM Punk has got into the mix, of course, with the special guest referee role. And obviously, I mean, Ethan's been eating losses outside of matches, has been dealt with the special guest referee card as well, because obviously he's been cheating in a number of his matches as well. Everything seems to be against Ethan Page in this match, although Punk has promised he would call it down the middle. You told me something off camera yesterday when we were recording our episode 3 of the Mr. McMahon documentary, and I've got to say, I think you're onto something.
I think that I am also onto something, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, basically, it's a case of this, like you said, the odds are stacked against all ego, and he has to somehow find a way to win this match and retain his victory. And conveniently enough, the next weekend after the debut of NXT on CW is Bad Blood, and one Mr. CM Punk will be facing the one Mr. Drew McIntyre. And if you want a screwy finish and you want to build hype for the next pay-per-view, Drew McIntyre is going to make a surprise appearance at NXT next week, and he's going to cost Trick Williams the NXT title, because it's going to be basically a case of Trick's going to have Ethan dead to rights in the middle of the ring. Punk's going to go for the pinfall. Drew's probably going to pull him out, beat him senseless. Trick's going to be like, what the hell's going on? Ego's going to probably hit him with a belt. And then there's going to be a second ref, and he's going to count the pinfall, and Ego's going to retain. If that is actually what happens, I am, the next like Mystic Meg, and I should have a crystal ball and predict lottery numbers. But yeah, it's going to be a screwy finish either way, just for Ethan Page to retain it. Unfortunately for Trick Williams, yeah, and like, you never know, that could play into the next weekend as well. Trick Williams ends up, Bad Blood in Atlanta. Helps CM Punk beat Drew McIntyre. Who knows?
I have to wait and see how it'll play out. What I will say is the idea of Drew being the reason that Trick Williams doesn't win the title purely because of this is how personal it's got with CM Punk. And it's like, you want to come down probably and help the young guys and stuff like that. You're just there to feed your own ego. It's that sort of stuff that can bring Drew down to NXT. And that's why I thought myself with this one, Ego is going to find a way out of this, and they'll delay it to Halloween Havoc. And then they can do the final spin the wheel, make a deal kind of match between Trick and Ethan Page. And that's how Trick finally wins the title back. But yeah, I think the Drew card makes a lot of sense here. It's a big shock value. It's a big talking point, closing angle for the show. Immediately you want to know what's going on for next week. So yeah, for me, that's a home run angle to close off with the first NXT on the CW, my personal opinion. So NXT, I 100% agree with your prediction.
Yeah, well, the result anyway, and just whether it happens or not. Hey, I could be completely wrong, but look, like I said, they want to build for Atlanta, and CM Punk can't get away with just turning up at NXT for the last couple of weeks, and do you know what I mean? Just quite happily walking out on his own 2 feet. Punk's gonna get him, man. It's just it's gonna happen, and like I said, being the debut on CW, they want to do something explosive. It just makes sense.
It certainly does indeed. And do you know what's quite explosive? The debut of the CW show, of course, will be on October the 1st. That'll be the same date that we'll be doing a Bad Blood prediction. So we're talking about CM Punk on that day as well. Feels like it's quite a good day to do so. Let's go into the comments before we wrap things up here today. CD says that I think Trick Williams wins back the NXT title. However, he's changed his mind. I think he's heard your prediction, NXT. Ethan Page will retain. God, I love it. Ray says, what's your favorite wrestler's theme music? Here's his Chase You.
From NXT, that's kind of hard because they're all generic and they all kind of suck, in my opinion. Oba Femi. I like Oba Femi's.
Yeah, Oba Femi's is good. The thing is, it just actually... you feel something when he's coming through the curtain, like he's just a beast, isn't he? He's the next big thing.
He dances, and it's like, yes, you go over you dance all you want, mate. It's just this killer.
It intimidates me. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I mean, to give a different answer, yeah, Chase You, that's a fun one. I'm just trying to think. My brain's actually gone a bit blank for some reason on wrestlers' feet.
That's what I'm saying. They're all really generic. So I mean, like.
Gallows and Anderson. There you go. Gallows and Anderson. I like that. I don't mind it. Ray says NXT not as good as back was when it was 1 hour. Of course, that's black and gold.
Oh, obviously. No, nothing's ever been better than black and gold days.
So there you go. Stephen says Trick Williams is his favourite. To be fair, Trick Williams is a decent one to have as well. Then, of course, it does get Booker T going every time. Ethan Page's one I quite like. Oh, it's growing on me. Of the theme music, so I've got to admit,
it's definitely a grow. It's like, but then like, don't get me wrong, some of these will actually probably be bangers. With like, I'm not being funny. It's like Undisputed Era. I used to hate the Undisputed Eras back in the day. I was like, this is so crap, and eventually it just got to the point where I'm like, you know what, this is actually a killer track, and I love it. And it's just one of them ones with Ethan Page. I think it's exactly the same. It's a grower.
Yeah, definitely. Not always a shower at the start. See, this is, NXT did change his mind. Good prediction with Drew McIntyre. And Oba Femi has grown on me as a performer. I like the dance he does to the ring. And then when the bell rings, he just beats people up, literally. That is straight facts. Not even a fun fact of the day. That is straight facts from CD. But hopefully we've given some straight facts with what we think is going to happen at NXT. And hopefully it's a clean sweep from both NXT and myself. We're going to find out on Tuesday. If you've enjoyed this video, though, make sure to hit that like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. The good stuff, you know what to do. And if you want to actually get interactive as well in the comment section after this video has happened, feel free to do so. Anything wrestling related, happily get involved and answer your questions. Big thanks to NXT. It's been great to have you part of the video.
Always a pleasure, dude. Always a pleasure.
And it's always a pleasure as well with our chat as well. Thank you all for your fantastic questions and comments over the last 34 minutes. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you very soon. And if you haven't seen them just yet, go and check out the Mr. McMahon documentary ones. We've done episode 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 on the way very soon. Take care. We'll see you soon.